What's going on, guys, and welcome to another episode of Smash JT. Just got finished live streaming Microsoft's E3 2019 press conference, and while there were a lot of games shown and services they talked about and their next Xbox, the Scarlet, coming out holiday 2020, lots to be excited about, ultimately I was left with the feeling of meh. Okay, so this isn't just a crap on Microsoft because I love my Xbox, I play it all the time. Tons of games have come out for it, maybe not as exclusive as I'd like, but still, Xbox has a lot to offer the gamers, and in this case, they talked about over 60 games coming to Microsoft Xbox, though not exclusive, but 14 of them coming from Microsoft Game Studios, which would be exclusive, unless you count the PC. And then they talked about a bunch of games, 34 games total, premiering on Game Pass. Then they talked about Project xCloud and the next new console coming from Microsoft. But the problem with all of this was, it didn't really shock me, and there was nothing necessarily from the conference that really made me go, oh my god, that's insane! Well, save for Keanu Reeves being what felt like drunk on stage and was amazing. That was really the standout moment from this entire thing.
Yeah. Okay, but let me tell you, the feeling of being there, of walking the streets of the future, is really going to be breathtaking. You're breathtaking. You're all breathtaking.
But outside of that, there wasn't that much that I really took from this getting amped about. Yeah, Cyberpunk 2077 looks epically incredible, and I'm sure everyone's going to enjoy it. Finding out Keanu Reeves is a part of the game now completely shocked everyone. That was the one moment that was like, what? No one saw that at all coming. And then they talked about Battletoads and showed 3-player couch co-op. But it was a little bit of a letdown. It looked like an Xbox 360 game, the cartoony style. I wasn't really vibing with that. It was just a little too kiddie for me. Maybe it will work better in reality when actually playing the game, but just viewing it from the press conference kinda left a bad taste in my mouth. I was expecting 3D renders of Battletoads characters and seeing Zitz in all his glory, beating the absolute crap out of enemies and pummeling them to the ground, but instead what we get is what looks to be a fairly generic beat-em-up game. After all that lead up to Battletoads and that's what we get out of it, it was kind of a little bit disheartening, not gonna lie. Still gonna play it, but definitely tempering my expectations out of that game. And that was the sincere feeling I got out of a lot of this, is my expectations were sky high going into this conference, and I should know better by now not to do that, but it still happens. I get excited, I like video games, and when I fill my head with all these thoughts of the possibilities of what could happen, and then the reality happens of what actually does happen, there's a sincere disconnect there, and that's when I feel a little bit let down. The biggest problem with this entire conference was, a lot of the games, they didn't actually show gameplay footage from. They just showed movies and pre-rendered cutscenes and things that are really hard to get excited about because you can make whatever you want look great, look fantastic when it's just a pre-rendered movie. But I watch these shows to find out what the gameplay is going to be like, why I'm going to be excited to play the game. Not to watch just a pre-rendered movie showing me, hey, this is something that happens in the game when you're not pressing any buttons. I don't play games for pre-rendered movies. I play games to have an interactive experience, a connection with the game on a deeper level than just a movie. And this conference really focused on those heavy cutscene areas, and I felt like that was a bad direction to go, especially with Halo at the end of this conference. I am one of the biggest Halo fans out there. I love me some Master Chief. But this Halo thing where they showed the video and no gameplay footage from a game that they talked about over a year ago, and then still nothing now, it's a little bit disheartening. Now, it is going to be premiering 2020 holiday with Xbox Scarlet, the next system. Very exciting, but without showing any gameplay footage of it, it's a little bit like, meh, how am I going to get excited about a game when I don't even see the gameplay footage of it? That's really lackluster. It's a little bit lame, and that kind of transcended the entire conference overall, which was unfortunate. Hate to be down about it because there was a lot of really positive stuff that came out of this. Tons of great games, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and Minecraft Dungeons, and hell, Phantasy Star Online 2 coming to Xbox One free to play. That was a big deal. That was really, really exciting. Shocked me, surprised me, did not see that coming, but at the same time I'm kind of like, that's an old game, that's nothing really new. It's exciting for those of us that love Phantasy Star Online too, but ultimately it's something that's already happened. So again, kind of hard for me to get super amped about anything in this, and I was one of those people that was hoping that Nintendo would do something with Microsoft on stage that would really blow people away, and nothing like that happened, like at all. No Banjo-Kazooie game, no Conker, no Shigeru Miyamoto, no Doug Bowser on stage showing up and shaking hands with Phil Spencer. Nothing like that happened. Now, there is still some time that maybe Nintendo's Direct will do something like that, but as of right now, it was a little bit of a letdown to hear all this build up to everything, and then they're just like, here are our generic games from Xbox that we do every year, and here we are talking about the Scarlet that we talked about last year, the year before that, the year before that. It's like, great. Nothing new, hard to get super excited about this. That was my feeling coming out of this ultimately. It wasn't the worst conference ever. There was a lot to take from it, very exciting stuff, but at the end of the day, it was just generic, meh. Here's a bunch of games, some that you know about, some that you don't, some that you had high expectations for and we didn't really meet them, some that you had no expectations for and we completely surpassed them. But at the end of the day, it was just fairly generic. I was shocked they didn't spend more time talking about the xCloud. It sounded like they were going down that road to knock it out of the park and completely embarrass Google with their Stadia announcement. But then they didn't follow it up with any information about the xCloud, which was unfortunate. I felt like this was the time to talk about what xCloud presents to the end users, where they're going to be able to use it. I mean, this thing is debuting in October of 2019, and they gave very little information about how Project xCloud is even going to work outside of the Xbox platform. They kept talking about how it would use a ton of different services, you'd be able to play it anywhere and have fun with these games using the xCloud, but they didn't talk about specific devices. They didn't talk about PlayStation or Nintendo or any other online components to it and how this is going to work, the ins and outs of xCloud, which seemed like the perfect place to talk about it, how much it's going to cost, what games are involved with it, and nothing. Kind of dropped the ball on that, and I was a little bit surprised because, let's be honest, it seems like the ball is in Microsoft's court to take on cloud computing and bring gaming to the next level when it comes to competing with places like Google Stadia and whatever Amazon's got coming down the pipe, and they didn't really reveal any information. Maybe that was strategic. Maybe they were wondering if we don't talk about it now, then we can really hit people hard with it when it comes out in October, and Google and Amazon won't have time to prepare if we do it then. But at the end of the day, the ball is in their court. They could have knocked it out of the park, and they did very little to do that. It was kind of like a swing and a miss. Everything about this conference was kind of good, but always had that kind of yin to the yang where it was like, okay, this part is good, but here's the caveat to it. Here's an amazing game we have to announce. Here's no gameplay footage from it. Here's something that you weren't expecting. Here's why it's not as good as what you might have thought it could have been. Like, it was kind of, every part of it was a good thing. Here's a bad thing, and that was kind of, at the end of the day, just like I said, a very meh feeling. We found out a new Tales of Arise is coming in 2020. Lots of people, including my buddy Tark's Gauntlet, extremely excited about that game. Something I'll be looking forward to. Gears of War 5 looks good, but it was one of those games that was just a movie. They didn't really show any gameplay footage whatsoever for a game that comes out this year. Not just this year, in a few months. In September, and they didn't show any gameplay footage. What the hell? Like, that is like really, really disheartening, a big letdown, something that I was completely frustrated about because I am a big Gears of War fan, and to just show a movie clip and to have all these pyrotechnics going on at the stage during it and not show any gameplay footage was just kind of another swing and a miss, which again was what this whole conference felt like. Microsoft has a lot going for them. They got Double Fine Studios, Tim Schafer's company, incredible games coming from them, now exclusive to Microsoft. So good stuff came from this presentation, but like I said, every time it felt like they talked about something good, it was always a but or an except or we don't have this to show you yet. And it just kind of left me feeling a bit empty at the end of the day. At least that's how I feel about Microsoft's Xbox One E3 2019 presentation. Could have been better, could have been a lot worse. It was somewhere in the middle, but ultimately left me feeling meh. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing.